don't see the live, but I am going to assume that we are live. So good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Oh, is it the last day? 30 days have, anyway, I think it's the last day of November. And if it's not the last day, then it's certainly the one before last. But here we are. Christmas is coming, and here we are. So before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Great Eagle. But we have been working so hard this week. He has been getting more and more involved with stuff. It's very interesting to see how things are changing. Maybe I'll tell you more about that, or maybe I won't tell you more about that. But anyway, it's interesting to see how he's really sort of getting more involved, and I love it. So good morning to Grey Eagle, who is, as always, standing to my right side. And, of course, we'd like to say good morning to our facilitator, Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary.
I mean, what would we do without our facilitator? I mean, well, first of all, I wouldn't be able to get on the show. She's in the background there doing all sorts of electronic things, plugging this in and pressing that button and whatever it is she does. Anyway, and and of course, I'd like to say good morning to all of you out there. Chris, is there anybody there?
There are people here, but it's a little bit sleepy this morning from what I can tell.
Oh, come on, everybody. Wakey, wakey. Why is it sleepy? People are not joining. Maybe everybody's out Christmas shopping or something.
I think they're all, what is it, tryptophan after the turkey?
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, come on. The turkey was a week ago. No. You should be over that turkey by now. Although it is said, and apparently this is why after a heavy turkey meal, in England we have our turkey at Christmas time, but here in the States you have it at Thanksgiving. Some people have it Thanksgiving and Christmas. I learned this yesterday because they love it so much. But there is something in turkey. I have no idea what kind of an enzyme or whatever that is there it is in turkey. But it is a kind of a relaxant, which is why, aside from us stuffing ourselves, and of course those of us who like a glass of wine or a drink, which is why after every heavy turkey meal, all we want to do is just go to sleep. So that's interesting. I found that interesting. I personally do not care for turkey. And I know that Christmas is, whatever it is, it's 2.5 weeks away. That's scary, isn't it? Really scary. But anyway, if you would like, I will give you my menu for my Christmas day, and I might even suggest how you might want to cook it. But anyway, so that's for later. So, I mean, do we have anybody there that we know or that we recognize? I want to speak to Eric, but I don't know if Eric's on or not, or if he'll come on today. But
Eric is on. He says he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Well, Eric, yesterday afternoon, I came back from my therapy almost in tears, to be honest with you, because it was a very grueling, tough therapy session, which is as it should be. You know, they've got to get my hand moving. And there was a box outside of my front door. And I knew that it wasn't from Amazon. I knew it was from, I'm thinking, what is this thing? I wonder what it is. And I opened it up, and I'm so excited by this, really excited. I feel that it's my Christmas gift, Eric. So thank you. But I have hyacinths. I have blue hyacinths, and I have pink hyacinths. Now, Eric, here's a question for you, because everybody's sleeping right now. You know, nobody's waking up yet. So we got to give people time to get into it. So while we're giving people time to get into it, Eric, So I was surprised because there was a box, and in the box is a like a glass, an odd shaped glass, and at the top of the glass sits a hyacinth bulb. And apparently, according to what I read on the box, you fill the thing with water so that the bottom of the bulb is sitting in the water, which creates roots. And then you don't put it in soil, you just keep it in water. Never heard of such a thing before, but I'm excited to try it. Does this mean I can do the same with all the others? Or what I would really like to do is to get those nice pots that you see with sort of spaces in them part way up. And do I put the hyacinths in soil? Do I fill the pot with water? Actually, in England, we always used to fill the pot with soil and then place the hyacinth so that it's the top of the hyacinth is sticking out of the bulb, but the bottom is in the soil. I need help with this little project, Eric, but I'm really, really excited. I love hyacinths. They're one of my favorites. They smell amazing. Now in England, they're much more like spring flowers. So do I wait and do this after Christmas? What do I do here? You got to help me out. Do I put these in before, because I'm leaving to go to New York? Will they be okay till I come back, or should I start them off now so that when I come back, they will be shooting nice green shoots and ready to flower in the spring? So you'd think this was a gardening show, wouldn't you? No, it's not a gardening show, but Eric is my personal master gardener. If you want to know any more about Eric, we can put his website up there for you to go and see, because he's fantastic. He's got all sorts of advice and all sorts of things for people who love to garden, and he is my gardener extraordinaire, we call him. He's my gardener extraordinaire. So if you don't have questions about the spirit world, if you don't have questions about me, we do have Eric here. If you want to ask a little question about gardening, I'm sure he'll be willing to answer. Right, Chris, enough of all of this. I think we've given people time to either get on the show or get to grips with stuff, or to ask questions. And you know the rule here, everybody. Once you stop, I stop. So you better get your fingers tapping on your computer or your screen or whatever it is, and let's see if we can make this a great show. I also, before we go any further, I would also, if I forget about it, I know Chris will remind me halfway through the show. I want to talk to you a little bit about healing, because after Christmas we are going to be doing, after the New Year, we're going to be doing at least a bi-monthly, twice a month, if that's, did I say that right? Anyway, twice a month we're going to be hopefully having some healing sessions, because I've had so many people who have been asking. And and in fact, just yesterday, I need a mentor, says somebody, and then a bit later on somebody else says to me, I really need a teacher. And so people are asking for help, for guidance in how do we give healing to ourselves, how do we give healing to others. I also have a lot of people asking, what is the purpose in my life? Why am I here on this earth? What is my purpose? Am I fulfilling my purpose? Have I not found it yet? What's going on? What is my purpose in life? So we're going to be, talking about that during our future shows as well, because I think that people really, really would like to know. So many people now are understanding we are spiritual beings having a human experience, Teilhard de Chardin, and my added to his quote, in a spiritual way. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and I like to say, hopefully in a spiritual way. So there are lots and lots of things we're going to be doing, and lots of opportunities for all of you to sort of, become more involved and more interested in learning different things and what kinds of different things there are in this world of ours. Right, Chris, who's up first?
Well, I'll just give you Eric's quick response saying, yes, either way, or plant them in soil, but he suggests you put them in now or bring them with you. It takes about a month to 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, I can't bring them with me. Can't. And I'm not leaving them with my daughter because I should be back here after the new year. So, okay. All right.
And
So,
then the other thing I would suggest, Rosemary, because we've got a number of people, when you say you need to, ask a question or give a comment, many of the questions are simply saying, "Do you have a message for me?" Maybe you could help the new people to know how to ask or comment.
okay. Well, all right. I know that a lot of people think that this show is, I'm sitting here. You say to me, "Do you have a message? How is my mother? What's going on with my dad, etc., etc." We try not to do that on this show, although it has been known. There's no harm in asking. But the show is very short, and uh, sometimes it takes a while in order for me to. I'm not a quick fix kind of person. If I if I wanted to, I could please you all. Somebody could call up and say, "I've been worried about my mother. How is she?" And I could glibly say to you, "Oh, she's really fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, she's fine. She's happy." You would be happy with that. I would not be happy with that because the truth of the matter is, in order to connect with the spirit world, sometimes it takes a little while. And I don't want to give you the glib answer, which isn't an answer at all. I don't want to just placate you or pacify you. And, I mean, you'd all think I was wonderful. I mean, I can make it up, probably as well, if not better than most. But I don't like making, well, I won't make stuff up. So sometimes if you ask a message, Gregor will answer, give me the answer. For instance, if you called and said, I'm concerned about my mum, how is she? Gregor will say to me, tell them not to worry, she's okay. That I'm happy with. But if you want a little bit more than that, then what I'm going to suggest you do is, first of all, watch for our shows because and again, so hopefully I'm probably going to have surgery on my thumb sometime in the new year, but I'm hopeful that it's not going to stop us from doing more of our shows. And we often have, we'll do a 3 hour session where people can ask questions. They can ask about their loved ones. We can go much deeper into that. And we also will be having at least 1 or 2 sessions with Gregor, where Gregor will come through and he will speak and he will talk to people and answer questions concerning the universe and so on. So, of course, if you would like to ask the question, does she have a message for me? Or, can she see my mum or my dad or whatever it is? You can ask the question, but that this show is far too short, and I am not going to give you just a simple glib answer that makes you happy for 5 minutes but doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day. If you want to know how your loved ones in the spirit world are, then there are other ways where we can give you much more time. And again, as I've said, we've done several shows, usually on a weekend. Usually there are 3 or 4 hour event. You do have to pay. We don't charge a phenomenal amount, but you do have to pay for the shows. And there you'll get, if you have a question, there you'll get a more thorough and a more detailed answer. Because again, with these shows, we don't take thousands of people. We just take a certain amount of people. We limit the shows. I'd rather do more shows and limit the amount of people on the shows so that each person gets a chance than have thousands of people on the show and only one or two get a chance. So, go, if you need to know more about that, go to our website. Go to my website, www.rosemaryaltea.com, and you'll see all sorts of things on the website. But keep looking at the website because it's not being updated because, look, I've been injured. There's only so much longer I can use it as an excuse. But anyway, so just keep checking the website. I suggest you check it every 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll see that we're going to begin to do more, more than we have done certainly in the last year. Can you believe that it's been since April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December? It's been nearly 8 months, and we're still having to deal with this thing. But anyway, that's beside the point. We are going to be doing more, so check out the website, and we'll just keep you updated on what's going on. Chris.
All right. So Rhonda's asking, Rosemary, does our families in the spirit world know when we are going to join them, and do they surround us at that time?
Oh, that's Rhonda. I love that question, and absolutely yes. Even if it's something that happens seemingly to us here on this earth place, something happens really suddenly, really quickly. The plans are already in place. That really sudden, really quick, and no time to say goodbye stuff that we on this earth have to deal with. It's very, very different because I always say to people, when God calls our name, that's it. We can't hold off on it. We can't put it off. This is it. This is our time, and we have to go. But when God does call our name, so whenever and wherever it is and however it is that we pass from this world into the next, our loved ones in the spirit world, they absolutely always know that we're coming. There's a great story I do believe it's in my book, my first book, The Eagle and the Rose. And there is a fabulous story about a lovely lady, Marjorie, and she had cancer. And she had cancer for a long time, and she was my patient for a long time. And just when you thought she was about to succumb, her body would rejuvenate, and then she'd be back again. And this went on and on until the truth is we become complacent. And really, even though everyone knew that she was sick, well, she keeps bouncing back. So that's what will happen this time. Until this particular time, she did not bounce back. But she asked me, knowing that, we were coming to the end here, she asked me, Rosemary, could you come with me? And I'd never actually accompanied somebody before. I'd never been in that situation where anybody had actually asked me to accompany them. So I said to her, well, you know what I can do? I can ask Grey Eagle, and if he thinks that that's the right thing to do, then that's what we'll do. And I can't tell you anymore. I shouldn't tell you any more of that story. It is an amazing story, but I actually had this experience of being in what I could only describe to you as a kind of a waiting room, a waiting area. And there were so many people in this room, and I'm sitting sort of, there's a whole row of chairs where there's so many people sitting, and I'm right at the bottom. I'm right at the end. So, all the family were at the far end of the room. Her family, her close friends, all of those people were there. And it was so strange because I was sitting there wondering what's going on. Where am I? What am I doing here? What's going on? And the people at the far end who were who were Marjorie's family, we could although I didn't know it at the time, they kept looking at me and then looking down at the far row towards me, whispering amongst each other, looking at me again, and then whispering to each other. And unbeknownst to me, some of them had actually spoken to me while Marjorie was still with us. So I'm sitting in this waiting room, and all of a sudden there's a real buzz in the room, and everybody starts, and I can hear this, everybody whispering. It became a really loud whispering. She's coming, she's coming, she's here, she's here, she's coming. And the excitement in the room was so amazing. It was so great. And I'm thinking, who's coming? Completely in the dark. I'm thinking, who is it? Who's coming? And then I saw sort of, I can only describe it as her sort of coming through a tunnel, which I hadn't noticed before, but sort of coming through this tunnel. And at first, I absolutely did not recognize her, because the Marjorie that I knew she was very bloated. Her skin was very yellow. She was very jaundiced. She had no hair. She would wear a wig, which was not so great, but she had no hair. And as I say, her skin was very sallow and yellow looking, and she was very bloated. And then I see this one woman coming through this tunnel, and I didn't recognize her because her skin was glowing, her hair was shiny and beautiful, her eyes were sparkling, and all of these people who were her family were there welcoming her. And at some point I realized that even though I barely recognized her, at some point I was so shocked and delighted to see it's Marjorie. So in a way, she got her wish. In a way, she'd asked me would I go with her, and there I was. And very, very shortly after that experience, I remember I was in bed, and very shortly after that experience, the phone rang, and it was her husband. And he'd called to tell me she was gone, but I already knew. And I said, you're calling to tell me that she's passed, right? He said, yes. How did you know? And I said, because. And I then told him all about what I'd seen. So do they know? Such a long answer to such a short question. Yes, Rhonda, they do absolutely know. They absolutely, sometimes, not only do they know, but sometimes they actually will hold our hand and literally pull us over, yank us over that bridge that separates those two worlds. So yeah, very interesting. And I can recount so many more stories. I'm thinking of a story with my friend Kay and her patient, who kept frantically telling her family, you need to move the dresser. The dresser was in front of her bed. You've got to move the dresser. You've got to move the furniture out of there, because she had seen the tunnel. She had seen where she was going. She'd seen her father waiting for her just inside the tunnel. And in order to make sure that she didn't have any obstacles in her way, she made, and the family thought she was going crazy. And they said to Kay, she keeps asking us to move the dresser, and we don't know why. And Kay just told me, and we laughed, and I just tell them to move the sweater, this whatever. Just tell them to move it, because if she thinks it's in the way, it won't be in the way. But just keep her happy. She can see things more clearly. And funnily, just on that note, you'll think I'm never going to stop talking, don't you? But anyway, on that note, Tuesday, I had this fabulous young man come to talk with his father, and he was really, really excited and so on. And it just, and I've just switched all my room all around. So a chair that wasn't there before is now there. And he's saying to me, this kid is saying to me, can you move the chair? Well, okay. So I actually had to get up, move the chair in order that he got a complete, perfect view of me. Of course, he had a perfect view of me. The chair's really nothing, but still, he asked me would I move the furniture. So that's what I did. I moved the chair out of the way. That's it. I'm done. Okay. Let's see. Who have we got?
All right, Leslie's next. Leslie
Hi,
says,
Leslie.
I have found some Native American pottery near where I live. Can Gray Eagle shed some light on who they were and are their spirits still around?
Oh gosh. I love the question. I'd love to go into it more. But uh, as I just said to you earlier, I'm not into the quick fix. But if you sort of discover any more, please let me know, because right at this moment, it would be I would just need more. I just would need more time, which unfortunately we don't have. But why don't you sort of do some research? I would be so excited if I found something like that. Um, yeah, find out more about it. Let me know. Go, Chris.
Naomi says, I tend to feel a bit crazy when tapping in. I've seen some spirits, but have a hard time not feeling overwhelmed.
Well, yes, I like this question, and so many people have this same issue, and is it real? Is it my imagination? Or when you absolutely feel that it's real, it can be very, very emotional. But we will be addressing these topics next year. So if you'd like to, if you, any of you, have a topic that you would like to know more about, or you would like to have a discussion on, please email rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. Email and tell us what your topic is or what you'd like to know more about, and we can certainly, consider putting it on our agenda. Uh, it, I think just what you need to do is just take your time, take a breath, and trust in yourself. Um, but you're right to be skeptical as well. So trust in yourself. We'll talk more about it at another time. But these are the questions I love. Keep going, Chris.
All right, then we have Andrea. My mother has passed about a year ago. How is she, and does she have any messages for me?
Okay, well, I do have Grey Eagle's hand on my shoulder at this point, and I did say to you earlier, Grey Eagle will often answer these questions. Um, apparently, she's apparently she is well. I hope you understand this. Much lighter in her body. Her body is not so heavy, so I feel that she's that from what Grey Eagle tells me, she's doing well, and the message is simply love. Yesterday, or whenever it was, the other day, I was talking to someone, and his we were talking with his son, who was lovely, and at one point during the session, the son said to the father, "Thanks, Dad, for giving me the opportunity." We're all sitting there, we're all wanting to talk to our loved ones, but we often don't give them the opportunity. Some of us can do this on our own, some of us need help. And very often, a really great way to communicate is to book a consultation. I can't recommend anyone else, I can only recommend me. But often people say, well, we can't afford that. So we're going to try in the new year to find ways and means where you can actually know if you're tapping in, as that lady put it, tapping in, connecting, raising your level of consciousness is how I like to put it. How do we raise our level of consciousness to the point where we're able to see, to sense, and to be aware of our loved ones in the spirit world? So we're going to be doing more of that in the new year. So keep checking the website. Chris.
Annika says, my mother moved to a nursing home this Tuesday. She seemed to do all right from what I hear from my siblings. Oftentimes, I wonder why many people have to go through mental and or physical decline before they can return home into spirit.
Well, it's all, uh, Annika, I feel awful saying it, but at the same time, it is true. You know, Gregor has this wonderful saying. He said this to me many times. If I were to smooth your path and leave no wrinkles, where would your learning process be? And part of our learning process is going through pain. Part of our learning process is going through traumas and difficulties. Part of our growing, allowing our soul to grow, allowing our spirit to become brighter, to feed, part of feeding our soul is literally going through the gamut of emotions. You know, I was I was sitting in with doing my therapy a couple of weeks ago, and this really, she seemed to really like a really nice lady. She came, she sat down next to me, and my fabulous therapist Dan said to her, "So Nora, how was your weekend? How are you doing? How's your weekend?" And I'm positive she was younger than me. She looked older than me, but there we are. I'm pretty sure she was younger than me. She sort of sat slumped in the chair, and she sort of looked down and she said, "Well, I lead a very boring life." And I couldn't make up my mind whether to slap her or to hold her, because what a thing to say. Um, where am I going with this? Uh, life is what you make it. Even in the most dire of circumstances, I've seen people, I've been at the bedsides of people who have had such great suffering with illnesses, some of which are, well, you wouldn't even believe exist. And I have sat and held people's hands, and you see all sorts of things going on with people when they're in trouble, and not just illness, but heartache, pain, the loss of someone, etc., etc. And there are people who really try to rally, and as difficult as it is, they will smile. As difficult as it is for them to smile, they will try to look for the good in stuff. But then there are those people who just, I call them the half empty glass. Is your glass half empty or is it half full? And they have such a dreadful, dreadful attitude. And all they're doing is sort of literally drawing this negativity to them. And it's never, ever going to get better if you don't allow it to. So why do we go through pain and suffering? We go through pain and suffering so that we can learn and that we can understand ourselves, and so that our soul can grow. The hardest lessons, the toughest teachers are the one we remember the most. And the toughest lessons are the ones that we remember the most. So, it's no different in life itself. And of course, nobody wants anyone to suffer, but through that suffering, they're learning about themselves and they're growing, and learning to have a more positive attitude. We hope everything is attitude, isn't it, Chris?
Mark says, I have a question for Gray Eagle. Many souls have passed and have been in the spirit world. My beloved grandparents passed over 30 years ago. Does their world change? Are they still there? And I think of the millions who've passed. What happens with all these souls?
Well, there are people who are skeptical who say, well, it's a bit crowded up there by this time, but we forget that the universe and the many, many, many universes that are out there going beyond, beyond, beyond that vast, expanse of those many universes, um, they're there for us to explore. Again, I'll come back to this lovely young man that I was talking with, had the privilege to connect with the other day, and he was telling his dad, right, I'm off exploring, And he was, I don't know for what reason, but he had not been able since he passed to explore. He was obviously probably busy doing other things, but he was so excited because now he was okay. I'm ready to explore. Which meant he told us he's going to be exploring the universe and the many universes that are out there. But he was very clear about saying that doesn't mean I'm leaving you. I'm just going off and then I'm coming back, and then I'll go off for another bit and then I'm coming back. And he actually said to his dad, when it's your turn, mine will be the hand that holds you and carries you, which is great. So, the imagine this world of ours holding all of these, however many millions of people, and then imagine that, I don't know, tenfold, 20-fold, 50-fold. Who knows how big the many universes are that are out there? It's exciting stuff, I think. Because when I go on a holiday, I like to go somewhere I've never been before. I like to explore. So there are lots of places to explore. Chris.
Starla Tech says, I'm working on a habeas corpus petition. Will that come out in my favor? Thank you.
Oh, again, I don't want to do the quick fix. I'm asking Grey Eagle, who is saying, do your due diligence. Is that right? Yeah, do your due diligence and it will be fine. Don't do your due diligence and you'll come across, people who'll try to stop you and people who'll try to put a block in your way. But if you do your due diligence, in other words, if you pay attention to what you're doing it and you do it in the right way, the legal way, in a positive way, I think you should be fine. Chris.
Megan says, good morning, my dear. I'm asking my hubby this year to have a consultation with you.
Oh,
I am typically a strong person, but there is so much going on with my life. Does Grey Eagle have any messages for me?
well, if you're going to have a consultation with me, Megan, why not wait? I mean, really. Uh, right at this moment, uh, uh, yeah, I'll say this to you, Megan, because this is a message to you, but it's also a message for other people as well. When life is sort of throwing us a curveball and we don't quite know what to do, and it's been okay, life has been good, and then all of a sudden, maybe it isn't. There are doubts and fears and worries and so on. This is, it's easy to have faith when everything's going right. And it's easy to say that you have faith, but when you are tested, when life tests you and life pushes you, and you start to question all of the stuff that's gone on before in your life, and you start to question yourself. Not maybe that's when faith becomes difficult. So my message to you, Grey Eagle's message to you is, hold on, stay the course, hold on to your faith. It will work out. It really will. Chris.
Stefania says, my father and mother passed away 2 years ago, just 2 months apart. Do you have a message from them for me, or a message from my mom?
Um, right. This. So I was going to do this, okay. So, if this message is confusing to you, my darling, there's not a lot I can do about it. I've told you I'm not into the quick fix. However, I do have someone here with Grey Eagle who is talking to me. Excuse me, I've got itchy eye. Who's talking to me about the haircut. Is it too late to tell you not to do it? I'm asking. I think it might be too late, but there's something about your hair or your haircut, something different about your hair that you've been playing around with. And the only reason that she's saying this to you, this lady who's with Gregor, is because she wants you to know just exactly how clearly she can see you. And if she can see you this clearly, that must mean that she loves you very much. Please let us know if that message sounds weird to you. That's okay. Let me know. If you understand it, great. Let me know. Either way. So there you have that. That's it. Chris.
Chase says, once in the spirit world, do we return for another human experience? Do we get a choice? Isn't everyone well and happy in the spirit world?
Do you know how many questions there are in that one question?
Mm.
First of all, we do get a choice. We can choose to come back here and do this all over again, or we can choose to just explore and do other things. And there are many other choices, believe you me. There was a last question in there I wanted to answer. What was the last bit of that?
Isn't everyone, quote, well
Oh
and
yeah,
happy in the spirit world?
no, not no. That is a little bit of a myth, because we are still learning, we are still growing. I very recently had someone come to me for a consultation, and it was a tough thing. It was really tough. This person's father had been, in his words, he'd come from the spirit world to talk to us, and in his words, when he was on this earth, he told me, he told his family members, he said quite honestly and clearly that he was a monster. When he had been living on this earth, he was a monster. He was a bully. He was a brutal. He was mean. Uh, the amazing thing I felt about it was that he actually dared, because it must have taken him a very great deal of courage to tell me this. He actually had dared to come through because he loved his family so much, and he wanted them to know that he recognized who he had been and who he was. And he told them that he was trying really hard to, to come to terms with what he'd done to other people, the effect that he'd had on other people. And he described himself, you know how you see the the Dickens story with Scrooge and Marley and all of those people, the guy in chains, rattling around in chains, Marley the ghost rattling around in chains, and the way that he was describing himself, uh, and his life in the spirit world, he was describing these not physical chains, but the emotional chains that he was wearing, because he had had to really look at himself and to see the awful effect, the terrible effect that he had had on his family and those he loved. And he had, in his words, he had been a monster. And he also realized that what he had done to other people and what he'd said to other people and how he'd behaved and reacted to, especially towards his family, what he realized was that his effect wasn't, he had an effect on them, not just when he was being mean, not just in those moments when he was being mean, but he had an effect on them that lasted for years. And this one particular client who was this man's child, 20 years later was still suffering uh, with the treatment that he'd had, and still coming to terms with who he was, and having to live with the idea of being, sort of, he'd been made to feel less. He had no self-esteem whatsoever. And his father could see what he'd done to this child and how long reaching the effects of his actions had taken and had affected his entire family. And in all the time I spoke to him, he stood in front of me with his head bowed. Not once did he look me in the eye, even though I tried to ask him, will you look at me? Can you look at me? He was too ashamed. So that's just one example of someone in the spirit world who is definitely not happy or healthy or any of those things, but trying to deal with the terrible effects that he had on people by, in his own words, by being this awful monster that they feared and would tremble every time he was near. Yeah, let's move on to a brighter and a happier note. But there are a lot of people who are in the spirit world who are perfectly fine and happy and loving where they are and enjoying the travel and so on. But when you said, is everybody happy and so on? No, that is not, that's far from the case.
All right, the next question is from Mila. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so excited to be watching you.
Thank you.
My question is, my bedroom is full of orbs every single night. Could they be of my past loved ones?
They could be anything. They could be, Mila, they could be your imagination. Don't forget, our imagination, is not to be ignored. They could be from your loved ones in the spirit world whose light is shining out to let you know that they are there. And that's a wonderful thought. That's a lovely thought. And I think that when you see these orbs, as you call them, I think when you see them, they make you feel good. So I think it's, I think there's something in it. Just be careful. Don't let your imagination get carried away with you. Be critical. Be skeptical, should I say? Not critical. Be skeptical. Don't just assume. Be skeptical, but be open-minded. That's the tough thing to do. But try, don't assume. Be skeptical, because the way to knowing the truth and understanding the truth and understanding, is this really my family here with me? The way to find that out is to be skeptical and not to just take things on face value. So listen, stay still, be quiet, let them surround you, allow that wonderful light that they bring to sort of surround you and make you feel great, because they're obviously there for a reason. And I think that reason is that you probably need a lot of love, a lot of caring, and a lot of attention right now. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring you that comfort that they are there. So I think that's lovely. And thank you very much for sharing that with me. Chris.
Donna's asking, why doesn't my son Jacob ever visit me in my dreams?
Oh. Who is this? Donna, did you say?
Donna, yes.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's true, Donna. He might say, if he were here, standing next to me and standing next to Gregel and laughing at the same time, because I think he's been waiting for this question. So I think your son has been waiting to talk to you here. So he might say, I'm here. Why doesn't she see me? What's going on here? Okay, so this is what happens, and and it must happen. I think the worst kind of loss is the loss of a child, whether that child is 2 months, 2 years, 22 years, 50 years, however long it is. The worst loss is, I think, the loss of a child. My feeling is that he's been trying to show you in so many different ways that he's around you. But I think that sometimes our grief or our uncertainty or our not believing that we're worth it, maybe, I think that these things act as a block. So I think, what you have to do is we might say, well, you're asleep, so you relax. But no, that isn't the case at all, because so many people do not relax in their sleep at all. You know, we're full of what's gone on in the day and all the heartaches and the pain and all that stuff that goes on in our head. I think that once, Donna, you allow yourself to relax and accept that you are worth this child's love. You are worth, um, you know, none of us are perfect mothers. So when I think about all the things that I've done and said to my daughter, you know, it makes me cringe a bit sometimes, because there are times when I could have been kinder. There are times when I could have been nicer. And look, I'm human, and you are too. But I feel this child is standing with great, I should say child, not so much a child anymore, but I feel that he's standing next to Gregor. He has a fabulous laugh. And I think that all you have to do is be patient, Donna, and wait, and you will see him. You will see him in your dreams. Look for signs. Um, he's taking this from Grey Eagle. Look for feathers, look for signs, and you will find him. Just be patient. Your grief at the moment is so overwhelming. And I think even at night time, it perhaps is worse sometimes, because, you know, we are so busy putting on a good face during the day, but when we're in bed at night, forget the good face, you know. But your grief and your anxiety and your desperation to see him is acting as a barrier. Don't worry, you'll get there. You'll get there, and I can tell you, he will definitely get there, and he will let you know in whatever way he can. Um, I'm hearing him say, "I love you, Mum." So there you go. Chris,
Cheryl says, "Good morning, Rosemary.
good
My
morning, my love.
computer my computer mouse went crazy yesterday, going all over my screen and opening all kinds of things. I restarted and it was fine. Was someone having fun with me?"
Well, yeah, because I can, I can think of a really good reason why that mouse went crazy and took you to different places than you would normally go. So pay attention to where it went, and pay attention to what it's trying to tell you. Yeah, you know perfectly well that someone's messing with you, but they're messing with you for a reason. Are you doing as you're told? We'll see. Okay, keep going, Chris.
This is from Mary.
Hi,
Gray
Mary.
Eagle's story was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Are there any messages for or about my children? God bless.
Uh, no, not Mary. Oh gosh, there's a lot going on here, Mary. So unfortunately, we do not have time for that. I'm seeing as I'm actually, you know, sometimes I don't know if any of you notice, but when I'm actually looking, um, people tell me that those my friends who are closest to me tell me that, you know, instead of sort of staring straight forward, when they know exactly when I am connecting or when I'm talking with Greg, because my apparently I've never seen it myself, but apparently my eyes sink back into it's almost as if I'm going backwards with my eyes. It's a very weird situation. So don't want you to think I'm looking cross-eyed at you here. But what I'm seeing is, and I think this comes from the spirit world, I think this comes from your loved ones in the spirit world. I'm seeing literally different, lots and lots of different size and different colored hearts, which I can see them in front of me, sort of backwards. It's weird. I'm not going to explain that, but I want to tell you that you are surrounded, absolutely surrounded by love. Absolutely. So many hearts. It's almost when I talk about my grandson, it's just hearts and flowers all the way. And that's what I'm seeing with you. Not so much the heart, not so much the flowers, but loads of different size hearts. They're like bubbles floating up in the air all around you. Chris.
Stefania's message, and I think she's a non-English speaker, wondering, my mom, please.
Again, Stefania, I would really love to do this, but we are very close to time. So rather than just say something that's going to make you feel happy but isn't necessarily real, I'd rather just say let's wait for another time. But don't give up and just keep asking.
Caroline says, my childhood friend John died at 18. It's now 50 years ago. Does he know my second son's middle name is John after him? And does he know I still visit his grave often with my second son? Thank you.
I can say without a doubt that he will know. I'm not hearing that from him. Greel has put his hand on my shoulder, so I know that I'm telling you the right thing. So I would absolutely say, oh my gosh, there's so much love coming here. Uh, didn't expect that. I thought I was going to tell you, yes, of course he knows because our loved ones in the spirit world see us, but I do believe that John is often with you, and there's so much love from that relationship. It's an amazing relationship, and so I feel that yes, not only do I think that he knows, but he's often with you. Chris.
Yolanda says, I lost my husband 8 years ago. At times, I feel his presence. I feel he's trying to communicate with me.
Yolanda, I think you're right. In fact, I know that you're right. What you need to do now is you need to be still. You need to learn to raise your level of consciousness, and you need to pay attention. You need to listen. Stop asking him, show me a sign. Stop asking, where are you? Stop asking, are you there? Trust that he is. Be still, be quiet. We're going to do this, the more exercises in the new year, but be still, be quiet, pay attention, listen. Chris.
Donna responded back to your answer saying, thank you so much. When you said laugh, that was his signature. Everyone
Oh,
always says they miss his laugh. Thank you, Rosemary.
well, he has, I have to tell you, he has the most amazing laugh. I mean, it just came right out of the blue there. So I'm so pleased for you, Donna. I'm really pleased. Chris.
Rhonda's asking, the gentleman that calls himself a monster, will he grow in the spirit world now that he has faced who he was?
We hope so. I mean, you know, um, you never know. I think about my mother. I don't often think about my mother, I have to be honest, but I think about my mother, and we can say all sorts of awful things about people, but we really don't know what causes people to be the way they are. We don't know their backgrounds. We know if we don't want them in our lives anymore, because why would we want that negativity? But people have a chance to learn, they have a chance to grow, that through this life they have a chance. And I and i'm i mean I felt, when I was talking to him, I felt an overwhelming sense of the courage that it must have taken him to do this. And the courage was inspired by the love that he has for his family, and to admit who he was. So I definitely feel that there's an opportunity there for him to, if you have that much courage, then I feel that he can take courage and face himself more, and to try to understand why he was who he was, and to improve on that. So yes, you know, I think that it seemed to be a positive to me.
Could we do one last comment even though we're at time?
Go for it.
Okay, this is from Starla Tech. I feel a lot of people have perhaps forgotten to thank those who go out of their way to thank others, even just simple things like holding the door open for another. I want to say thank you for giving your time to us because I know there are other places you can be and things to do than sit here and be giving of your time. I recognize and appreciate you.
Thank you, my darling. That's so nice of you. And it actually is strange that you should say this because yesterday a friend took me to therapy because I still can't drive, not safely anyway. A friend took me to therapy, and twice on that journey, it's only a short journey, twice on that journey, somebody either cut her off or slipped in front of her unnecessarily, and we were talking about it, and you know, and I said it seems sometimes when we're out and about and we're doing things, it seems sometimes that there is so little courtesy. Um, you know, people are in such a hurry; they're so involved in their own lives, which might be awful lives. um, you know, it's hard not to judge when, you know, find someone trying to bully their way either on the road or in the house or whatever it is. They try to bully their way into your lives or to have what they want. And years and years and years ago, probably when I was a small child, I mean, you'd walk down the street, a man would raise his hat to a lady. It might sound old fashioned, but it's called courtesy. It's acknowledging that, you know, we're acknowledging that we're important. This person's important, that person's important. We're important as a human race. And there seems to be very little, although I'm sure there's much more than we think, but when we're involved in a situation where there's such a lack of courtesy, it's so sad that we don't value each other. And so I agree with what you just said. I thank you so much for thanking me, but um, isn't it just all about courtesy? Uh, I gave a consultation a few days ago to someone, and at the end, uh, he said, "Well, this was not what I expected it to be." And I said, "Oh, yeah, but why is that?" He said, "Well," it made me smile, and it made me feel such gratitude too. He said, "I didn't expect you to be so warm. You are so warm." And it is true. I I I do have that warmth and I do have that compassion because of all the stuff that I've gone through, but all the stuff more so that I've seen other people go through. And I am so privileged in what I do that I feel, and I do thank you for, because it's really I only it's just an hour really, but yeah, but I do thank you for your appreciation. And it is the appreciation of all of you who follow me, the appreciation of all these people who I deal with on a daily basis. And I'm so very filled with gratitude that I have this opportunity. And so when I can get to share it, I I try to do just that. So I thank you for your gratitude, and I hope you will accept my gratitude to you and to all of you who are watching here. I really appreciate that you allow me into your homes. Um, remember, we probably will be doing something for Christmas, although it depends. I have to go back to the surgeon on Monday. We have to wait and see about the surgery that I'm going to have. So I will try and do something for us all before Christmas, even if it's just to have a Merry Christmas show and, you know, talk about the good things of Christmas. Um, so, and recipes. Can we do recipes? I'd like to do recipes I want some good recipes, some of those things that you make, especially for Christmas. I want to know about them. And sometimes I'll say to you, send me that recipe, and I'll expect you to send me that recipe. And I might just have a recipe for you too to enjoy. Let me think about that. Yeah, I can do that. Anyway, so we will be here next week. Of course, it will be December. It's so exciting. I love Christmas. It's my favorite time. Thank you, all of you, for joining me. Please, everybody, have a very, very, very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend. Bye bye.